Hi everybody, my name is Songezo Zibi and this is the second of my podcast this year. Like I said with the last episode, I'm going to be doing quite a few of these during the course of this year. And this is my second one. The first one was unfortunately about the attempted assassination of the Vice-Chancellor of Fort Hare University, Professor Sakela Buhlungu, which is a problem we are still dealing with even now. But of course, there are many things happening in the country, and the most topical issue, because it affects the lives and livelihoods of so many South Africans, is load shedding, the power blackouts that we have been getting for 16 years. Load shedding started in February 2007. I remember very well. I'd been living in Johannesburg or Gauteng for just under a year. And it was raining that time, and it was initially said that the load shedding had been caused by wet coal, but of course we went on to find out that it was a little bit more than that. In fact, it was a hell of a lot more than that. Eskom was supposed to have been allowed by the ANC government to build new power stations. They were not allowed. The money that they wanted to allocate to the building of new power stations was sent back to government. So recently, Eskom announced that the country would be on stage 6 load shedding until further notice. And that until further notice can be misleading because it can last for years. Now, I have had a particular interest in the energy sector for a very long time because I used to work for a mining company. And when load shedding started in 2007, I was actually on an analyst trip. I had just picked up about 14 analysts from overseas at what is now OR Tambo International Airport. I think it was 2007, at OR Tambo International Airport, and we were headed out to Witbank, and the lights had gone off that very morning or at some point during that day. So load shedding has been with us for 16 years. In February, which is in a couple of weeks' time, it would have been 16 years since load shedding started. That we still have it and it is getting worse means that the country is just not able to accept load shedding. So it is against that backdrop that the Sowetan published a very powerful front page this morning. And I'm speaking to you on the 16th of January 2023. It's Monday, the 16th of January 2023. And this is the day on which the Sowetan published, I think, what is to me the most powerful headline I've seen in a very long time in South Africa. Of course, there have been many others before, like Marikana in the City Press and so on. And therefore, this headline is in that, this front page is in that category. And what the front page is, it's not really a story per se. It is a list of all the businesses that are now in distress and are facing closure because of load shedding. Because, of course, if there is no electricity, you can't trade. And if you can't trade, you can't make money. And if you cannot make money, you cannot pay the people that work for you. You get the picture. So the Sowetan had one of those powerful front pages. So, you know what? The carnage of businesses and jobs is going to get worse, not better. If stage 6 load shedding, and stage 6 is the minimum, is here to stay until further notice, that means the carnage of businesses and jobs is going to get worse. There is simply no magic wand or magician that will make this go away. Even if the country were to hire the best chief executive on the planet from anywhere else in the world, which will not be the case anyway, the problem would still take more than a year to solve, assuming everything, absolutely everything, goes according to plan. And of course, this will not be the case either, because You never get everything going according to plan. All the pieces of the puzzle falling together and everything just working like clockwork. You never get that. Now, we don't have the chief executive. Andre de Ruyter is resigning, is leaving at the end of March. And one thing I want to say about Andre de Ruyter, when he was appointed as Eskom chief executive, we read in the press that he had not been the first choice. He had not been the second choice. He's had a very difficult time. Load shedding is worse. And last week, there were news reports that he's laid a charge of attempted murder with the police because he was given a coffee that was laced with poison. Now, let's be realistic here. What are the chances that somewhere out there is somebody who's better than even the first choice that the Eskom board had as Eskom chief executive, who turned the job down, the second choice turned the job down, and eventually got to Andre de Ruyter? What are the chances that we're going to get the best person we can find under the circumstances? And I accept that load shedding is causing a huge political cost to the ANC. So my mind says that if they could solve it, they would have done so a long time ago. That we still have load shedding means the ANC government cannot end it. It also means that for whatever reason, they can't even find people who can get the job done. Now, in light of the distress that we've seen this week with people suffering from the effects of load shedding, there have been talk of marches and litigation and so on. And by all means, let us do that. Some of us will be marching on the issue in the very near future. But my mindset is that this is to register political dissatisfaction, to let off steam, and to make a political point. I do not expect that anything will change because I don't believe the ANC is failing to solve this issue simply because they don't believe that we are angry enough. They know citizens are angry. Their own members are angry. They just can't solve the problem. That leads me to my second point, which is that we are going to have load shedding for a long time. We need to accept this reality and move on to thinking what we are going to do next. At a personal level, anyone who can afford a generator or solar should get one. Unfortunately, only a tiny percentage of South Africans can afford a generator, let alone a solar energy. Now, one of the powerful things about the Sowetan front page today is that while the large businesses have got the pockets to protect themselves from the worst effects of the load shedding, small businesses, the person who owns a KFC franchise in Queenstown or Engcobo or places like that, does not have the deep pockets that a large business in Johannesburg or Durban is able to do that. And no, firing Gwede Mandashe or Pravin Gordhan makes it appear as if the reason we have load shedding is that we have the wrong minister in charge and that there is another ANC minister or member waiting in the wings who can make the same problem go away. If that person existed, wouldn't they have appointed them to solve their biggest political headache already? What are they waiting for? Friends, the only thing we can do while bearing the terrible consequences of load shedding is to decide what the permanent political solution is. Unless you believe there is a hidden talent somewhere within the ANC that can solve this problem, a voter needs to decide whether they want the same guys who can't solve the problem for 16 years to have another shot at solving the problem for 5 more years at the helm, or whether they want different people. Again, there is nothing, absolutely nothing that tweeting or posting a WhatsApp status, marching or going to court can do to make this go away. This is our reality. This is our life until we make a different political choice. Even then, we must accept that even if we were to get a new government tomorrow, this is so messed up that we will remain the country where the lights are off during the day and during the night. We are like Zimbabwe or Nigeria, where people who go there, all you can hear in the city is the hum of generators, the smoke that you experience in those cities, because They don't have reliable electricity. This is us now. This is our club. What we need to do is to decide whether we want to entrench ourselves in that club or we want to move up. And I don't want to hear anything about the quality of the politicians we have, that we have poor leadership in this country. Democracy is a participation sport. The citizens of a democracy, of a democratic country, have to choose to walk the streets, to pick up the phone, to mobilize and talk to their family members, talk to people in their community, talk to people in their friendship circles, in their professional circles, to talk to anybody who is not voting. You say you cannot do this anymore. It's 21 years. We're reaching a point of no return as South Africa. That is why, personally, I have joined the Rise Mzansi campaign, because this is a growing number of South Africans who have decided that we can't wait any longer, or there will be no future. We cannot look for a miracle worker anymore. We're going to take matters into our own hands, and we're not going to do that through violence. We're going to do that through movement building. We're going to do that through activism. We're going to do that through finding and developing and training or choosing leaders or people who can represent the South African people at the ballot box in 2024. There is no other way to do this. There is no other way to do this. I feel I understand the litigation, but the point is, if the court were to instruct the government to solve load shedding tomorrow, what is the government going to do differently? What is the ANC going to do differently? Where are they going to find a person who can be Minister of Public Enterprises or Energy and then proceed to make the right policy choices? We saw the National Conference of the ANC this past December. Was there anything in the outcomes of that conference that gave you the confidence that finally the country has turned the corner around? We cannot sit back and complain and write on Facebook. The only thing we now need to write on Facebook and on Twitter is to hold people we know accountable for the political choices they make. And sitting at home and doing nothing and not going to vote because we are dissatisfied is a political choice we must challenge those we know not to make anymore. And it's not just about going to the ballot box in 2024. With 28 million South Africans not voting, we have to mobilize. We have to mobilize at least half of those to turn up at the polls and make a telling difference at the polls. Otherwise, my friends, we will not have a country to wake up to anymore. That's our reality. We are one of these countries that we used to read about in the newspapers to say it never has electricity. That's us. It's not just electricity, it's water as well. Because without electricity, the pumps that fill the reservoirs where in places where that are lucky enough to have running water, those reservoirs are leading to water rations because they are emptying. They're emptying because for a long time in the day, there is no electricity. So it's going to lead to disease and hunger. We can't afford this anymore. This is why, if you're not affiliated anywhere, you need to join the Rise Mzansi campaign. You can find us on risemzansi.org, risemzansi.org, or you can send an email to rise@risemzansi.org, rise@risemzansi.org.